Good evening and welcome to the South Haven Planning Commission Thursday, July 11th, 2019 meeting. I'm going to call it to order. And just prior to roll call, I want to welcome a new commissioner, Sam Dustin. And Amanda, I know this will be your last meeting, so you can talk about that at the end, okay? So, all right. Roll call.
Velma Cunningham. Sam Dustin.
Here.
Clark Gruber.
Here.
Larry Heinig.
Here.
Michael Neese.
Here.
Rosalie Placati.
Here.
Amanda Sukup.
Here.
Janice Varney.
Here.
Tim Stegman.
Here. Next up, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Been moved and supported to approve the agenda. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Next up, we'll have the approval of the meeting minutes from the June 6, 2019 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 6th.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion about the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, interested citizens in the audience will be heard on items not on the agenda. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak on an item that's not on this agenda this evening? Seeing none, we'll keep moving on. Old business. Item 6, electric scooter regulatory ordinance discussion item. Kate.
Sure, Chairman, we discussed at our last meeting a proposed regulatory ordinance regarding regulation of electric scooters and other motorized wheeled conveyances and how they could be used around town. Currently, we have a wheel control map. It's a little dated. It's from 2014, but as you can see, all the items in yellow are where wheeled conveyances should be not on sidewalks. They should be in the road outside of ADA vehicles. So what we're looking at here is we have seen the rise of electric scooters and other things where you can use electricity and just motor on down wherever you're going. So what we're trying to do is figure out where should these items be located. We've seen several that can be dockless, so they can be just parked anywhere. Because these are electric scooters, should they be located in the roadway? Is it safe for them to be on sidewalks? So I guess we're looking at the Planning Commission to weigh in on this discussion. Even though it is a regulatory ordinance, and that's the province of the City Council, they've asked to see what this body would recommend.
Okay, does anybody like to comment?
Mr. Chair, I think we talked about this last time. I think everybody was I'll speak for myself. I would be in agreement, of course, to uphold that. And the only thing, again, that I would say, and I think I was in the minutes for last time, I would love to see that in other areas, not in the downtown.
Right.
I live on Monroe Boulevard, and there's just as many people walking and riding and doing things on Monroe as there is in the DDA. And trying to walk or push a stroller with all the different wheeled things you're talking about here is pretty difficult, and the bicycles, and nobody seems to even follow the basics of manners or staying on the right or staying on the left. So, I don't know if you can do all of that all over town, but certainly in downtown.
I'd like to second that too. In my neighborhoods, I think as we talked about in the last meeting, last time we addressed this, it just seems like I've seen more and more bicycles on the sidewalk. I just can't see adding any more complexity to that issue. It's already hard enough to walk your dogs, to walk on the sidewalk with bicycles coming down the sidewalk with not much regard for pedestrians at times. So I agree with Rosalie. I'd like to see it expanded.
There is a question that I would have, though. I know children with their bicycles would want to ride their bicycles on a sidewalk, and families who have children with bicycles would like to be with them. So I think that needs to be considered as well.
Anybody else?
As far as parking them goes, that particular issue, with these, like the motorized vehicles, would they fit in the same parking area as non-motorized bicycles?
I believe that from what I've seen, and Jared, if you can show some of the pictures that are in that staff report, maybe on 16 or 15, some of them can, this is what we've heard that can happen, but I understand that they can be docked in like a normal bicycle rack. So I guess that's one thing I'm also looking for, is that if we are to allow electric scooters, can they be parked in the same places as bicycles? And when I say that, if there was a company to come to town that, like Bird or Line, that wanted to do that, would we make them have to be at a certain location? Is that something that this commission would think that we should have, or make that a requirement?
Well, I've typically found with those companies, part of the deal is you rent it at X place, and then you can drop it off at Y place, and then someone else picks it up at Y, and they take it to Z. The proliferation of what you see them laying around, a lot of them do have little kickstands, but depending on how big the area is, it happens. I just like the idea of just walking them in the wheel-free zone, and then riding them other places is good with me. It would be great if we could not have adults on the sidewalks on bicycles, but certainly if you've got a kid, especially someone in training wheels or a young one, or you're with a family member, that's one thing, and you can tell. It's, the other stuff, it might be easier, and I'm okay with riding, in the street. It just, when we look at these scooters, I think it's good to get ahead, because someone's going to show up with this. They're going to figure out how to put a dozen of them in South Haven, and it's just the riding around on the sidewalk is a little tough, because most people are learning to ride them for the first time, and it can be pretty fun to watch in a big city.
Okay.
I was one of those people that was fun to watch. They aren't easy, at least not for me. And I ended up on the bicycle that was the same thing. You have an app and you can drop it off. But we were also in an area where we were going across the San Diego Zoo, which is miles across, so we decided to grab a bicycle. I see a definite issue of where these are picked up and dropped off. We're a small town. I'm not sure we need to go that far with it. We have businesses that have access to scooters and things you can rent. So I'm not sure, I don't want to limit commerce, but limiting where those are picked up and dropped off, I would support.
Anybody else in the commission right now? No. I'm going to invite the public to come up and comment if they wish at this time about the regulatory ordinance for, what's the exact title? Bicycle, skateboards, roller skates, and other similar devices. Anybody wish to come up to speak about it? Okay, seeing none. Kate, I guess the one big question I have with this is we're really looking, you're looking for a recommendation on, where did it go? Item 80, Section 82-103, General Regulations, D, which is parking and storage on public property. It's page 21 on your agenda.
Yes.
So right now it reads, parking or storage on public property. No person shall park or store a non-motor vehicle transportation device on public property unless such device is chained with a lock to a structure installed specifically for the purpose of parking bicycles and other devices.
Right. We had drawn up a proposed ordinance for the review, but in speaking with the city manager, really he just wanted to weigh in on whether or not we would allow these just to be just parked in the roadway, or if we wanted to follow the regulation here that you just listed.
And I think what I'm hearing is the
Follow it.
regulation we have.
Okay, very
Would that
good.
be correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wonder, the mopeds with licenses, are they allowed to park on sidewalks and the hash marks on the roadway and the yellows and stuff like that?
No, I don't believe anyone's supposed to be in the hash marks unless it is designated as motorcycle parking. Luckily, we do have Bill Hunter here, who is a sign aficionado. But no, my understanding is that those hash marks are hashed out for a reason. Either it's not safe to park there, it's not a standard size, or it's handicap loading zone. I don't think we have any motorcycle or moped parking currently. So if this does become more prevalent, maybe we do start to look at
I like the
places.
motorcycles that figure out how to put as many as possible, which is really nice for everyone. And there's a lot of real respectful drivers out there, fortunately. I just didn't know with the mopeds because sometimes they're kind of haphazardous. And I think we could figure, if someone were to get a business proposal, it sounds like there might be a way, because we do have a smaller town, to have more than one parking area. So maybe there's, a couple on the north side, a couple on the south side, and kind of keep it easy because we're only 2 or 3 blocks from almost any spot downtown. So, okay. Thanks for the direction.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else you need from us?
No.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to new business. Item 7, special land use application and site plan review for 97 Water Street per section 1510.25 splash pad. And then we're going to do a public hearing as well.
That's correct. We have 2 issues before the commission on this item. This is a special land use application. Because this is a recreational facility that will be located in R1 zone, that is what the South Beach is actually zoned as, that requires a special land use. Now, just to remind everybody about special land uses, if the conditions are met, the board must approve. This is also up for a site plan review. Here to discuss this is Tony McGee from Avamarsh, who has been helping the city over the 2 to 3, 4 years now of developing this plan. And Bill Hunter as well from Public Works. This has been through a pretty rigorous meeting schedule at the Parks Commission, as well as my understanding is that it's been passed unanimously by the Parks Commission and their June 6th meeting. And Tony will be here to give you an overview as to the location, the size, any kind of maintenance, and have any questions you have.
Okay.
Thanks, Kate. How y'all doing this evening? As Kate said, I'm going to give you a little history of the thing and then run through the plan with you and answer any questions you have. A little background about the project and the scope. The reason this was created to begin with, we started working on this actually in 2013 to begin with, and the first application was submitted in 2014 to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. It took us 4 rounds to get it funded. So every time it went in for an application, it had to go before the City Commission, public input received, and then submitted. So it's been through a lot of public input just till it got to the funding side. As we said, the whole reason we started this was safety. When we know what undertows are like on Lake Michigan, children get in there. So the idea was, what can we do as an alternative to create another amenity to service the people using South Beach when weather conditions were bad, water conditions were less than optimal for safety. And actually at the June meeting that Kate mentioned, the police officer who's the head of your water rescue team here in the community came in and spoke. And it really hit home for me on this project, the value of it, because he listed and went through the name of everybody who's died in that lake and the South Haven area and the children and their ages, and it really hits the value what this can do. And he said, if the splash pad saves one life, that I don't have to play out of the water for a little kid, it really has an impact. So that kind of really hit home why we were doing this. So as I said, we did 4 rounds with Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. It was finally funded in 2018. We went through some stuff with the Parks Commission. In June of last year, the Parks Commission decided to unanimously go forward with the project. At that point, we did a lot of public input, including going out and meeting with every 3rd grade class in the South Haven Public Schools to solicit input from the kids. We did an open house because we had a couple different options for the design to get feedback on that. Went through all that through the end of last year. They voted on in the first part of this year what we're going to go forward with design-wise, and that got us to where we are with here today. The splash pad area itself, I put this in here because you always ask how many kids can play on it. The splash pad area itself, where the spray zone will be, is about 2,200 square feet. We assume 25 square feet per child. That's up to 90 kids can play on it. The way it's set up, and I'll get into it a little bit, we have different zones with different types of amenities for different ages of children to play on. And as Kate says, it's R1A, has been historically, but this has been a park for historical use, and in the land use plans, it's the preferred use moving forward as parks and recreation on the site. Here's a concept plan of the site itself I'll walk you through. Right now, there's parking here. This is where those existing pine trees are. We kept those as part of the project. We added 2 accessible handicap spaces here and a walkway down to the pad area itself. The reason we have this curvature in the pathway is to take up grade. If you don't know that site very well, there's a lot of grade difference in there. Instead of doing retaining walls and a staggered down walkway system, we felt this was more natural. What you have here are 3 sand berms, small dunes that'll be created and planted with dune grass. Purpose of those are to keep the material and the sand from blowing up onto the beach into the play area. For amenities, and it also ties along the boardwalk right here. There's a seating area right here with picnic tables, a seating area right here with picnic tables, and this is the splash pad itself, and I'll show you in a minute. It's made after the Friends Goodwill is the theme we went with after all the public input for kind of the design thought on it. So this is and Bill always laughs being a former Navy man that he is, at my trying to come up with boat terms. This would be I'm not good at it, bow of the boat, this would be the stern back here, and this will be the mast, and I'll show you that in 3D render here in a minute. This is the control box that controls the entire pad area, and because of the grade difference, we actually have a retaining wall that's also a seating wall that goes through there. So while kids are playing, their parents can sit on that wall right there as they watch them play, and it doesn't show up real well, but you can see this black fence right here that goes all the way around, again, for safety. So between the retaining wall, the black wrought iron fence, and the landscaping, we have 3 things of buffering to keep the kids safe and in that controlled environment there. This is our removal plan that was in your packet. We're not doing a lot of removals. Our direction from the Parks Commission was save as much trees as we could, which is why you'll see these main pines that are there now staying in this plan. There will be 6 trees you can see right here that will be removed. Those are not a high specimen, high quality tree. We're taking them out. They'll take them to the pad. And then so the pad area itself comes up to this existing sidewalk that's there now. That will be remaining in place. So the removal, and the only other thing to remove, we're going to be removing some asphalt and some curbing right here to connect into the water. The water's on the other side of the road towards the water plant there for the water main. This is just a small overview of the pad, and it's got the relevant data in it. The biggest thing in there is we're actually lowering the amount of non-pervious material on that site by, I wrote the number down, pardon me, 1,570 square feet. So the amount of non-pervious material on the site with the splash pad going in is actually going to drop by about 1,500 square feet, because if you think about it, most people don't realize there's a bunch of asphalt right here in this parking, that wall area. That'll be going away. So that's going to become more green space in that area there. This is just an up-close version of the splash pad. You can see the dune area that'll be planted with grass. This will all be new landscaping in here. These will be the walkways down in and the pad itself. This is just kind of our standard planting plan that we'll be using. All the plants will be native, non-invasive. The ones that don't require as much water is kind of always our policy. Here's the elevations on the pad so you can get an idea what it looks like. This is the bow of the ship again. This will be fully accessible. It's actually going to have a transfer station so children in wheelchairs can actually get up into the mast area. This is the bow itself. And you can see the various water elements in the anchor was added in during the planning commission meeting. They asked for that to be added in, so we love that as a design element now. Again, just kind of some views of what it would look like. And it mimics the Friends Goodwill, so I thought it'd be kind of cool when the Friends Goodwill is actually coming in and out of harbor, and this is right there from a visual standpoint. Just so you understand the heights of it, at the bow of the ship here, it's 10 foot 9 inches. This is about 9 feet here, and it drops down to 4 feet through here. This element's 13.6 high, the sail. The flag itself and the post 20 feet high. In this, you can be up to 25 feet in R1A for heights. We're below all the standards there. So this kind of gives you the eye of the elements. Everything that you see here height-wise is actually below those pine trees that are out there. So there's nothing here that sticks up above the elevation of the pine trees that are out there now. And that's kind of an overview of the project. Has anybody got any questions I can answer from a planning and zoning standpoint?
I just had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that's 2 levels. Explain how they get from one level to the other.
It's called a transfer station. So it's got a small ramp up, a landing, and a small ramp up. So that keeps the grade in so somebody in a wheelchair can get up to that area there.
Okay. Any concerns? I mean, I some of the comments I've heard, any concerns going up and down? It's wet, children's feet.
The material on it is a non-skid material they use for that there.
Okay.
I mean, there's always a chance that a 8-year-old running faster than they should be is going to fall at some point in time. But no, these are safety rated to do all that. You're actually going to be getting the first to get this transfer station. The company never made one before. We said we want to make everything accessible. We reached out to them, so they created this. So it's actually going in their catalog as a new thing, this transfer station. So
Cool, thank you.
Anybody else? Down here?
Nice.
Okay. Actually, you started working on this about 5 years ago, you said?
Yes, sir.
So I think we actually started talking about this 15 years ago. And like you said, the first reason was to have a place for children to be out of the rougher water. And the second one, which often gets overlooked, and you would just mention it, was accessibility to wheelchair-bound people. And so the one thing I'm curious about is all that parking area has been taken out. So I don't know how many parking spaces are there.
there is 18 currently. We're adding 2 to it. So none of the existing parking is being touched in this area.
Well, the old Coast Guard parking lot's what I'm referring to. That's still
Oh.
asphalt. How many spaces are we losing in there?
4 or 5?
8.
Okay. So what I want you to do with that map, and I think I can see it, but how many people in, that would be wheelchair bound, for example, they're going to pull up, there's what, 2 spaces?
Correct.
And they got to go down the long walkway to access it?
They have to come down through this route right here, correct.
And I was wondering if we should make sure there's a few more spaces than just the 2, because that's probably like the minimum required. If that should be a condition, so I wanted to bring that up.
Makes good sense.
Tony, are there more handicap farther east on Water Street?
There are some more farther up here as you get towards the
Right.
Southside Marina, correct. 2 more.
Okay.
By the staircase, correct, Bill? There? Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a way to actually mark at least one of those spaces where it's for a wheelchair? I mean, a lot of times you see elderly people take up these spaces because they have the tag to do so, but if we get, I mean, the purpose is to get people that normally can't get to the water down there. Is there a way to actually do that?
With the tags, no, actually. They're
Yeah.
going to get that tag, and they're authorized actually to use it. So unfortunately, they don't distinguish different tags. So it's a good point. I know what you're saying, but
So we could probably just put a sign up as a helpful suggestion, said, hey, this is for a wheelchair.
Bill, what about when I see signs for van accessible? Doesn't that limit who can park in them?
No.
So it's just a guideline.
Yeah, that's good.
Van accessible means that there's an area wide enough beside to get a ramp off the vehicle. To-
So the
Well,
one.
to Tim's point, van accessible would allow for a wheelchair up and down.
Yeah.
So I would hope that those spaces would be van accessible.
right now, actually, there's 2 van accessible sites I'm counting further actually to the east. So those are van accessible, and then Tony's after 1 van accessible
Right
here
here,
as well.
correct. One thing I didn't touch on in the presentation, I apologize, is the timing of this right now. If we're fortunate enough for your approval tonight, we'll finish up design, get it to the DNR for their final review and approval. We've already had a preliminary review of this by the Disability Network. It meets all standards. We'll do a final review with them on our plans. We'd go out to bid. Construction would start this fall, complete in the spring before Memorial Day. Under the contracting agreement the city is in with the DNR right now, we have to be completed by June of next year. So once we get moving, if we get all the necessary approvals, it'll go quick.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Were you going to go, Larry? Did you have a question?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Okay, one last question, too. Other concerns that I've heard is with sand and the filtration of the water. If you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, anything by the waterfront, you're going to be fighting
Right.
sand a little bit. That's
Right.
the nature of the beast. That's why we're here to begin with, is because of the dangerous conditions that can happen. That is the reason that these berms were put into place. For that very reason, those are meant to be a block for the sand. They're all going to be planted with dune grass, which keep them from eroding themselves. So that's really what this is we didn't want to put some nasty walls up there to catch sand. So the idea with this berming system is to act as to mitigate some of that sand blowing up.
Okay, thank you.
I do apologize, it's not shown in the drawing. Per the grant agreement the city signed, we will also be installing trash cans here that have both a recycling and a garbage component in them.
Nice.
So,
That took care of one of them. I wanted to make sure we got that on the record. The other question that I have has to do with the access from the parking area to the splash pad. In the staff report, it was mentioned that might encourage walking along the side of the road. So could you comment on that, please?
yes, sir. I was going to do that, but I figured it's going to come up in the question and answer part. In the staff report, you'll remember they asked about a sidewalk being along this area here, as well as crossing the street here. The reason it's not included, it's an existing condition, so it does conform. It was the direction of the Parks Commission to keep these trees. Keeping these trees made it so we couldn't put a sidewalk through there and across, because we have to have the handicap spaces in. So if it's a direction of this, again, this design was driven by the Parks Commission. If the Planning Commission wanted a sidewalk through there and to get a crosswalk through here, what that would necessitate is us moving the handicap spots to here, doing a bump out right here so we could do a crosswalk here, and then through here adding the sidewalk. What that would entail generally is about $40,000 to $50,000 worth of extra cost, because we have to remove and replace all the meters. There's actually a pretty good quick drop off here, so we have to do a retaining wall for the sidewalks. But if it's something we want to require, Bill, I don't want to speak for you, but we could do it as a future phase, maybe?
That's what I was thinking in a future phase, actually, with the sidewalk on the angle parking there. The other one with the bump out and moving those over, actually looking at the removals, we're kind of doing those removals already.
So we could-
We'll actually be over at that southern portion right there already removing concrete, so adding actually a ramp and then a continental pattern crosswalk with some mid-block crossing signs, the ones you see with the yield to pedestrians. That's actually required for a mid-block crossing, and we could do that right there. But the other portion, the sidewalk and the, I would, if it's the direction of the planning commission, I would hopefully we could do that actually in a phase at a different time, another part of the year or later on.
Okay.
I guess it's my opinion that that's a safety issue, and I would certainly like to see that included. If it has to be future soon.
Got it.
A small issue I've been asked about, although it's not small to the people that asked about it, is the existing benches and tables that have been donated to the city and people have their memorials on them that are in that area. They'll be moved someplace.
We'd have to see actually on the condition of the existing tables. We do have a donation policy now. We passed that probably three years ago, almost 3.5, letting people know and setting this is a challenge a lot of communities have when we get donations. I came from another city where we got lots of donations, and sometimes people have an expectation, well, I bought that for you, but it does have a life expectancy. So we would, yes, I want to say we can relocate them, but if we're pulling it out and it's rotten, we're probably going to be throwing it out.
Again, I would just ask that we be sensitive to that, because I understand this is a passionate issue, but I've lived here long enough to remember 30 years ago, this was a passionate issue to put that park in there in the first place.
I completely
And
understand.
Those people are seeing that moved, and they have some concerns to make sure that part of our history stays.
Definitely, if we can relocate and salvage anything in there. I was at talks with Kate earlier today about salvaging stuff, so that will be a priority. But I just want to make sure that it does salvage. We're going to
Understood.
evaluate, and if it's something is beyond salvageable.
I got a question. On the sidewalk note, I feel that ever since we've had that park, we've always had an issue with people walking in the streets right there from the parking. And I don't know if that should really be part of the splash pad's concern, or just that park in general, we need to add a sidewalk. Because I grew up here and I've walked that street so many times.
Yeah, either you walk along the river or you walk
Yeah.
in the street.
Yeah, it's almost like you come from downtown and you take the river path, but if you ever use that parking, everybody ends up on the street. But is that a splash pad concern, or is that a park in general concern?
Well, because we're talking about the splash pad, and because we are also talking about those 18 spaces as being part of the
Okay.
splash pad parking, I think that's a correct assignment there.
Okay.
I've heard that from other people is, folks come down there, they unload from the back of the car, people are hanging out in the back of the car, there's all the traffic going to South Beach. How do you get the folks to just go right up to a sidewalk that's not there? So I've heard that too, from other comments.
It's likely to happen most anywhere in the city.
Yeah.
Even if there's a sidewalk there, but
And I think we also realize.
it will happen if we don't have a sidewalk there, so.
Part of the benefit of this, this location too, it's part of the beach. So you've got a safe place for the kids to get in the water without getting in the big lake. So there's a lot of parking that's just off, off camera here. That there's a lot of parking and a lot of sidewalks. And if you look at some of the other popular places, like the Whirlpool one in St. Joe, there is no parking anywhere close to it. In fact, its parking is quite a ways away, and you walk towards that. So we've got that same benefit here of all that beach parking and sidewalks that feed into another sidewalk that feed into the sidewalks that get you where you need to be. So I think we've got that to also look at the benefit.
Yeah, this is really an amenity as much for the waterfront beach area and that parking
one,
lot. It's just, when we show that, you lose all the perspective up there, so thank you for bringing that up.
Just to cover one more item that was in the staff report, and just to get it clearly on the record, you are not intending any signage to point people toward this splash pad?
Not signage like that. We are going to be required to do a DNR,
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing right there. So,
Okay.
and there may be a donor sign, like rock down the wall, but no like directional signing or welcome to the splash pad, anything like that at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Thanks, Tim.
All right, thanks. So I think we'll entertain a motion to open up public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Support?
It's been moved and supported to open public hearing. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is anybody here from the public that would like to speak on the splash pad? I'll give you up to 5 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Hi, Wendy Onuki. It's 315 Prospect Street. Sorry, I wanted to bring my kids here because I wanted to be able to say we, as a family, have been looking forward to this for so many years, basically since we've lived here. Ramona and Ruby, come here now. Stop. And I know there are always concerns about things like this and anything with changes coming. But I feel like the city has done a really good job trying to address those and alleviate concerns. And what we have now is a really amazing thing for local families to enjoy. So I would love to see this move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
If it's a red flag day, then we can play at the splash pad.
Okay, young lady, what's your name, please?
Hadley Spencer.
Okay. You
Thank
have that,
you.
Marcia? Thank you.
Kyle Henriksen, 651 Erie. If I could have turned professional for coming to splash pad meetings, I would have done it 3 meetings ago. I can't believe we're still talking about this. There are so many families that want this and frankly need this. Please just pass this and put it to bed.
Your address, Mr. Hadley?
Erie? 651. Is that what he said?
I didn't catch it. I'm
You
sorry.
need his,
651 Erie Street.
anybody else?
Hi, I'm Jim Ellis, 709 Lee Street. I'm on the Parks Commission. I can't speak for the whole commission, but as Kate mentioned, we did pass this unanimously with a lot of public input over several meetings. As far as the part about the parking, the sidewalk, trees, I agree with the idea of maybe making that a phase 2 because there's a lot of passion about the trees, and I think there's probably passion about having the sidewalk too. And I think it would be fair to have that hashed out just as a separate issue and keep moving forward with the splash pad. I'd hate to see it delayed over that sort of thing. But I just wanted to speak for the splash pad and advocate for it. I'm also a father of 2 young girls. They're 3 and 4 years old. And this would be just a great thing to have on a day where it's too rough on the lake. And I think it's something that's not just for tourists. It's something for any kid that happens to be in South Haven. If they live here, I know there's a lot of families that live here that have kids. You can see a lot around the room right now. That would be a great draw for people already here. It might draw more families to this community, which I know that everybody would like to see. And if any kid, whether it be a tourist or resident here, happens to be on the beach and it's rough, they could go to that location. I think that really is the right location for it because of that. South Beach is a big draw to families. Water Park is very close to South Beach. It'd be very easy. If a family's already at the lake, they realize the lake's too rough, they could just go walk over to the splash pad and have fun there. So anyway, urge you to vote in favor for it so we can keep this park moving along.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Somebody coming.
Okay. Anybody else after Sandy? We'll get you in the queue. We have a big meeting tonight.
Sandy Fensky, 2 Pine Street. I came on the Parks Commission last year, so the decision to go for the grant was before I came on. I sent you all a letter today. I hope you had a minute to read it. I'm not against the splash pad. I'm against the location. I think we really need to think about the location. And I was talking to somebody from Kalamazoo today who gave me a really good different way of looking at it. She said in Kalamazoo they put 2 splash pads in a lower income area because a lot of the children there don't have access to water. They don't have parents who bring them to a pool or the beach or what have you. And it's been very successful. So I was thinking, have you ever thought about putting it closer to Elkinburg? We have the Everett area, the National Motors, we have the Overton. Even if we have to wait another year to acquire that and find a good way to make it fit in, people will still drive to it if they don't live in that neighborhood. And there's lots of parking that we could develop, and I think it'd be more successful than taking that beautiful river area that people enjoy, the green space, and jamming in this activity, put it out where it can stand on its own and be appreciated by people, and they will come to it and not put it in that small location. But I thought it would be more accessible and a nice gift to kids who don't have what many other children have accessible to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to close the public hearing.
I just need to make it clear, I did not vote for this, and neither did Mr. Toneman.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll move that we close the public hearing.
Very well. Is there support? It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, first I'll say that in regards to Ms. Fensky, that this is one of those instances where we're not coming up with the project. Somebody else, i.e. the Parks Commission, came up with the project, and they're asking if this will fit into that use space. So it's not really for us to just decide more than that. There was one other comment. Somebody said, this will be a good draw, and I don't think we're looking at it as a Cedar Point draw. What we're looking as a city is an alternative to Red Flag Days. So, okay. Any other discussion on this item?
I have just one question regarding hours of operation and ages of children who would take advantage of this. Has that been decided, or is that down the road?
The hours of operation would be with the park hours itself.
Okay.
So we'd have to actually get shut down. And that's typically what I've done in other cities. It just shuts down automatically because it'll have a timer. And then age, we didn't think we had actually any age restrictions on it.
Yeah, Bill, Craig, there's elements in there for toddlers all the way up to teenagers. And to Bill's point on the activation, there's actually a button, so it's not running all the time. There has to be a kid on there using it that presses the button. We set the timer, and in the control cabinet, we can also set the hours of operation on that as well.
I was also pleased to see that you had made room for benches and places, not only for parents to sit, for others to sit too, and to continue to be able to have that view of the river.
Thank you.
This may be outside our purview as well, but will there be requirements for use of the park, such as adult supervision of the children? Are they there free on their own?
There will be no staffing of the park. At all the other splash pads actually that I've been a part of, they're unsupervised. This isn't a park actually we're recirculating the water. The water actually comes up and goes into a drain, so we're not required actually through the state to do testing of the water. The testing that comes out of there is the same water that we use when we set sprinkler for the kids and the kids get hit, so it is potable water.
Yeah, I've got something.
Okay.
This is probably more of just a maintenance issue. I don't know who to direct it to. But I noticed over, especially 4th of July, I believe we have a series of porta potties right there in that parking lot. And obviously, those are going to have to go someplace else and have an idea of where those go. I don't need to know where they're going, and I'm sure you guys have already discussed that. But if to have the splash pad there, if our concessions are already overused, that we have to have portable things, then obviously we're going to have those maybe even more. So I guess I'm telling you, if you haven't figured that out, figure it out. This may be a silly question, but it's something that I thought about, and I thought I'd bring it up. There have been lots of consultants, and I believe you guys have been working with them on the river levels. And I am hearing everything from 8 to 12 inches on our river level. How, if our river level is going up, will that impact this site? The way it sits now.
It'll be a super splash pad.
It'll be a super splash pad.
Your water plant will be underwater if this is underwater at that point, so there's much bigger community issues. If it gets high enough to get this, you're flooding out
Okay.
most
I
of the
really
entire
didn't
city of
know.
South.
That's
Yeah,
the reason I
it's a good
asked.
question,
Yeah,
yes.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I guess one last question on my part. Was there any consideration for alternate locations for the people who are using it for the purpose it's being used for today? That is, it is a favorite spot for the seniors to walk down from the complex over by the Idler. They walk that, they come down, they sit in the benches, they get to watch the river. It's shaded. Have we thought about where we're going to make available similar situations so not to disrupt their use of parks as well?
Sure. Bill can also kind of jump in here. I think that there was a consideration of possibly moving it, or there was a suggestion of moving this to Monroe Park. Monroe Park would not satisfy the grant, but secondarily, there's not enough parking from Monroe Park or Kids Corner now. We've already had multiple requests to limit the amount of parking on both sides of the street there now. That's not going to be a viable option. I really hope people will understand that there's already a lot of parking and for the Kids Corner there. So when we looked at this grant application, we zeroed in on the South Beach location because of the excess of parking there. We have over 200 parking spaces there. I drove down there today, and I think at 1 o'clock it was still quite open. So it's a lovely area. As for seniors and where they can park or sit and stay, we have more green area to the east of that location that has not really been forested or anything like that. That's an area that we can, through Bill and the Parks Commission, start looking at areas that we can add more trees and add more seating. Additionally, for the areas where there are tables and handicap accessible, I'm not sure if they've talked about a shade structure at all part of this, Bill?
It is designed to be able to take one in a future phase as funding's available. It is available to take a structure or the seating area down the road.
Okay.
And that was more of my question, Kate. It's not an immediate thing, but I do hope we're sensitive in the future to replace these.
Yeah.
When I go down there, it is used. Like when I went down there this morning, Every bench was full, every picnic table was full. People were sitting on the benches, watching the river, watching the boats go by. We need to provide an alternative to them as well.
You know, I noticed the same thing, but then what I was also surprised to see how much green space there is behind those bushes in that area that
Yes.
can be actually cultivated for this purpose as well.
Yes, there's a lot of areas to grow down there. I wouldn't presume to make that decision with other Parks Commission and anybody else, but there's a lot of room to grow down there with new trees and trees that maybe are more Michigan native or,
And to be clear, I didn't raise the question as an either or, it's an and,
right.
you know.
And it looks like, too, we're taking out two picnic tables and putting in 6.
But the character of how those tables are going to
Yeah.
be quite different.
And we still have that seating area. So I do see seniors that go out close to the water, and that existing concrete area will still be there, which is good. I know that group. I run by them most evenings.
But please understand, Clark, my point is table for table is not the equation here, it's the context.
And do keep in mind, what is down there now is a little less than 30 years old, because that was a warehouse that burned down, and then it was just gravel.
I remember attending meetings like this when
It
we were doing
can,
that.
we can add more spaces. All right, so let's look at the recommendation on page 35.
I have some questions from Bill because I'd like to add an item to that. If we ask you to go ahead with this future sidewalk, would 2 years be an appropriate time frame to get that done?
I think 2 years would be an appropriate timeframe, because this year, of course, my budget just started, so it'd give me another year to plan and come up with some.
Yeah, no, run it through the capital improvements plan, program and so on, yeah, okay.
I was going to recommend that myself when we got to item 3.
Item 3.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't it part of this item?
yeah, there's
Oh,
five
recommendation
recommendations.
3 here, okay.
Number 3 is where we adjust that one.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get a feel for what the time frame ought to be, so.
Okay. So let's look at these. The first one, special land use shall satisfy all applicable local, state, and federal laws, rules, and regulations. I don't think we can argue with that one. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with any requirements from the city's Department of Public Works, city engineer, or other city officials. That's pretty standard. The applicant shall provide a solution for safe pedestrian circulation to the splash pad from across Water Street. So that one, we want to amend, right?
Mhm.
It's a 2-year time period? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
From completion? Or from now? From completion, from now?
From this motion.
Are we talking about the access across Water Street, or are we talking about the side? Look at
Both.
them at two different things. You're talking about both.
I think what we're looking at is Phase 2 pedestrian right-of-way, making sure that there's some kind of timetable to that with this third item.
But that includes both the crosswalk and the sidewalk
Yeah.
along the parking.
That you'll provide a solution within 2 years from the date of this approval?
One thing I'd like to just, if we're going to provide access across,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to do that now and actually have the sidewalk as separate, meaning the crossing from the water plant over is to move those spaces. over
Jared,
the tr-
can we cue that up? Okay, sorry, Bill.
I just want to explain why.
Okay.
If you take a look at it right now, like right here, our access point would actually have to be a crosswalk with a ramp, but I can't put one across and have it go to that landing because right now it has to be a textile plate on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to do this, I would say we move this over, put these here, and then have me put in a ramp with a crosswalk here and
Okay.
provide that access now, and then as a phase 2, put the sidewalk in here. That's what, because I think we'd just be tearing out something new that we just put in.
We don't want to do that.
No.
And somewhere in there's the old coal bin that has flowable fill in it.
Nice.
Thanks, that's news.
That's nice to know.
It's
Thanks.
right down in, because that's where the railroad track was that fed the coal-fired plant.
So that's somewhere in this vicinity here. Okay. But that's what I think actually that's the smartest, because then we're not tearing something back up. We're putting, right now, if I did this 2 years from now, I'd have to tear this back up, and I'd have to take those trees out anyways. What I'm saying is move it over now, and let's put that sidewalk in as a phase 2, and that'd be the phase 2, if the planning
Okay,
commission is
so
acceptable.
crosswalk now,
Yes.
sidewalk parallel to the road, phase 2.
Correct.
So that would be within 2 years. Is that sufficient for you, Larry?
That's fine. If we say both of them within 2 years, you can do one of them now and one of them 2 years in, so
Yeah.
either way, it comes out.
I'm just thinking we're saving money if we do it that way. Right now, as we'll be having removals, me and Tony were already looking at this, we have removals across, and part of this curb is actually coming out and part of the concrete. A few more square yards and then putting in a ramp, we're already there, so.
Okay, what's the suggested language we add for this then? Would it be under the third recommendation?
Go right in there in the third.
Yeah, I think we just say within 2 years. We do an ad right after Water Street.
Makes sense.
Do you want a specific date, or do you want to say within 2 years?
Within 2 years
Okay.
of this approval, if it gets approved here tonight. So after Water Street, item 3, add within 2 years. I think that's a very clean and simple way to progress this.
Easy way to word it, and Bill can schedule what he's going to do now or later, sometime within that 2 years.
Yes, yes, that will work, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, earth-moving activities necessary to shape land consistent with the site plan shall be in compliance with requirements of Natural Resources Environmental Protection Act, and shall minimize soil erosion and sedimentation, alteration, and protected sand dunes. Do we have any protected sand dunes there? No.
No.
Wetlands, high-risk erosion areas, they're close, and related natural features as applicable. And number 5, site shall be periodically cleared of debris so that litter does not accumulate on adjacent properties. All right, that all seems reasonable. Ready?
I'm ready.
Yep. I move approval of the special use and site plan for the site, for the splash pad, to include the 5 recommendations included in the staff report, with the modifications to item 3.
Second.
How you doing there, Marcia?
Do you want us to read it back, or at least that?
If she needs clarification, because it,
If you don't mind, I was writing it down. So
Okay.
I see item 3 is being written as, the applicant shall provide a solution for safe pedestrian circulation to the splash pad from across Water Street within 2 years of approval, Phase 2 sidewalk on north side of the road to be constructed.
that's fine.
Yep.
Motion and support still work? Okay. All right, any other discussion on this? You sure? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. Splash pad is coming your way.
We're gonna give you guys a quick switch up at the ball guy table now.
We'll let the room clear here for a second before we move to the next one.
Splash pads out.
Tra-la-la.
The 2 little ones used to live behind me. They did that all day long.
I wish they could bottle that. I'd buy it.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that project was actually a small project. This is the real project, is item 8. And this is the Center Street reconstruction project site plan. We're going to review that. We're going to hear from the engineer, architect on this. I'm sure Bill wants to talk about it. Just, this one's going to probably be a little longer, so sit back and enjoy. Who's starting us out with this? Bill? Kate?
I can just let you know that this is a program that we've kind of put together. Corey will come up here, and I think, Corey, you're going to be doing the presentation. This is Corey Kendo from Avon-Marsh. We had the opportunity, we have some major redevelopment going on. The Hales block has been purchased. We knew that was coming, so we have also reached out to MEDC, I think the SRF, and some other organizations, because that street needs to be rebuilt. Some of the utilities are located underneath the Hales building. This is one of the last streets in the downtown that has to be reconstructed. We've already done William Street and Phoenix Street. This is now Center Street. We did build this as a phased plan, but we also found that we would have better financing and better prices if we did the whole thing. So with that said, I'll leave it to Corey and Bill.
Good evening. As Kate mentioned, or I guess Tim, you mentioned, this is a lot larger project than the splash pad, but the crowd's not interested in it because it's road work. This is a Center Street project. The plan right now, the project goes from Michigan Avenue to the south up to Williams, minus the gap across the Phoenix Street intersection that was rebuilt 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, however long that's been. The project on Center Street involves replacing basically all of the underground utilities, water main, storm sewer, and sanitary sewer, along with the services tied to those utilities. New roadway is going to look very, very similar to Phoenix. We're going back with a concrete roadway, just due to the time of the year that we're looking to construct this. This is going to be a typical South Haven kind of post-Labor Day, pre-Memorial Day type schedule, just so we're, minimizing impact to the tourists that come to town over your busy season. Other than the concrete road, obviously new curbs, new sidewalks, streetscape amenities, including trash cans, bike racks, raised elevated planters, planter boxes, a few new trees here and there. We're keeping a lot of the existing mature trees along that corridor. And a big thing that has got a lot of stuff going with it and a lot of people talking about it is the live wall on the Chemical Bank. I guess it's the easterly wall. Right now it's a pretty big, kind of a hideous-looking cinder block wall that we're looking to do a nice planting type feature on that to kind of soften the space and make it look a little bit more inviting. As I mentioned earlier, the design's going to look very, very similar to Phoenix Street. We want it to kind of look like they mesh together and one's not outshining the other. It's kind of a common look down there. A little bit hard to see because it's small here, but this kind of shows you, this would be the south half of the project. Michigan Street up here, Phoenix here. You can see it's not colored in there because, as I mentioned earlier, we're not getting into the intersection there. When they did that project a few years back, city was kind of did some pre-thought and stubbed utilities out far enough either side of the intersection that we don't need to get back into that nice concrete or any of the work around there. Green space, kind of, I'm going to say kind of here at Huron Street. The really streetscape element starts at Huron and goes north. The last block here, we're kind of out of that DDA area. It's a little bit more residential feeling down there. So we've got a little bit more, like I said, kind of lawn area, some trees. We got the bump outs to kind of better define and protect cars that are parked there. Roadway widths are going to stay very similar to what's there now. We're not looking to really change the curb line because with changing curb lines you get into tree roots and you start damaging things that may not kill the tree the first year, but a couple years down the road they end up dying. Like I said, north of Huron Street here. Exposed aggregate, area behind the curb, traditional sidewalk, kind of got the banding, defining the crosswalks with both in the road and the landing areas there. North, kind of more of the same. Angled parking along the east side of the road there. The west side doesn't have any. We've got the drive-through for Chemical Bank, and we've got the movie theater there. So currently no parking along that side. There's going to be none proposed going back in there. I think the overall parking count on this project, I think we net 2 or 3 additional spots over what's there today. Really close to a wash, no loss of parking. And I guess during construction, the plan is to physically completely close off this stretch, leave Phoenix open at all times. Closed, when I say closed, I'm talking vehicular traffic. Pedestrians, we do our best to try to keep access 24/7 to the businesses and any realtors or retail shops down there. That, with a concrete road that we're proposing, is a little easier done because they typically start in the road with the utilities, and with concrete streets, they like to pave the road first and then kind of work toward the right-of-ways. So with that kind of game plan, we're hoping to keep the sidewalk in place as long as possible, and keep that hard surface for people to walk on while we're doing all the underground work in the street, running all the irrigation lines to the planters for the landscaping, all that stuff. The last kind of item of work is bringing those hard surfaces back to the building fronts and faces. So during that time, I mean, we do have sanitary services and water services we got to bring up to the building. So there'll be little gapped out pieces of sidewalk, but we typically will bring in gravel, fill those back up, get them passable. A lot of times we bring in some plywood. We've done a couple projects with the city recently where we've done these tailgate talks on a weekly basis. Kind of gives people in the area the chance to come down, ask questions, and we can kind of address issues or items that they've got, bringing to the table. So again, pedestrian access will be maintained at all times. Construction, after hours, we're going to keep the road closed throughout the duration of the project to vehicles, just due to the timing and the amount of work that has to happen over a fairly short period of time. And with that, I think that was the last slide. So I know it's 100 times bigger than a splash pad, but it's a road. So any questions?
Go ahead.
I do. Tell me your time frame again.
We'd be looking at getting going right after Labor Day, probably
And-
the week after Labor Day, and trying to wrap up around mid-May, I think is what we're planning for.
You feel pretty confident?
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's concrete road work, so that's not really as temperature dependent as asphalt, for example. Asphalt, you have to do certain weather conditions. Concrete, you got to take some precautions with cold weather, with protecting it from freezing and stuff, but it's only 4.5 to 5 blocks worth of road work, so we're pretty confident it can get done in that amount of time.
The other thing, too, that I was just going to say, and I've noticed here that, in other places I've lived, your bump outs that we do in the city, the bump out right by, at the end of this street, by the salon there across from the movie theater and stuff, you can't see anything until you pull a good 6 or 7 feet beyond the stop sign. And I don't know, do we look at that when we look at those bump outs, just really how unrealistic they are?
Yeah, we do look at kind of sight lines and clear line distances for cars. The kind of purpose of the bump outs is kind of twofold. You bring those curbs in closer so your pedestrian crossing is a lot more minimized. They're not crossing basically 4 lanes of pavement because in most spots, you've got parking, 2 travel lanes, and
Right.
parking. So you're just going across the 2 travel lanes so that crossing is a lot shorter. And then also, they kind of give the illusion that there's constrictions while you're driving, so it keeps car speeds down a lot slower than if you didn't have them there.
But in reality, what happens is you stop at your stop sign, you pull into the pedestrian. I can't tell you how many times I roll down the window and say sorry, because I can't see to make a left or even a right onto the center that we're talking about. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. I agree with bump outs, but they're not.
I believe on the very north end here at Williams, the configuration's really not changing from what it is today.
All right.
The curb that runs along the corner here, this has all kind of been reworked fairly recently. It's got the trees all planted in there. It's kind of all brick pavers. So our new curb actually starts kind of on this edge over here and goes this way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, over here?
Did ya?
Yeah, the one, yeah.
There's a tree right there, actually, that one there is a bump out. Those bump outs there were actually, they're not the bump outs actually that we're used to. The bump outs that we use now are for pedestrians to shorten that gap so they're safer.
Right.
That one currently is not that way. That's why, and I see that too when you drive up there, because that tree is right there, and honestly, that tree's gotta go. That tree is a line of sight
Right.
problem. We discussed that actually during the design.
Okay.
So when this is done, that'll be clear. It'll
Good.
be a regular just pedestrian you're seeing there and not a tree.
Well, that'll be helpful.
Yeah, because right now, actually, the pedestrian actually is also blocked by the tree. So if you think about it, you're heading north,
Right.
and the pedestrian has to walk past a tree before, and that's not a bump out.
No, none
That
of it's
is-
safe there.
That was used for more vegetation.
I think you also got the stripe in there for the handicap spot that opens up that view shed. Right now, a car parks right there, that kills your sight lines. You're actually gonna open up more sight lines.
Great. Cool.
Yeah, we do look at that, and a couple other things I forgot to mention earlier. We're looking at extending basically the public downtown Wi-Fi system as part of this project. And
That'd be great.
lighting, we're looking at keeping the existing poles that are there and just changing out the actual fixture on them to be an LED light, similar to, like I said, what they did on Phoenix.
I had a question, if I may.
Yeah, if Rosalie's done.
I'm done.
I'm just wondering about during the construction, the access for the Clementine's employee lot and also that theater bank lot during that construction, because I know
The theater's gonna
Al's
be
done a
little-
great job of keeping his employees a spot, so it's freed up for the rest of the public. I just
Yeah.
don't know how
The
that's going.
theater's going to be a little tricky because I was, before I started looking into it really hard, I was hoping there was more parking up on the other side of Quaker here, but there's really not.
Yeah.
So people are going to park on the east side there, and we're just going to have to make sure that that crossing across the road is either, sheeted with plywood or some type of hard surface to get people across that intersection.
Well, it's a one-way. I'm just not sure how the cars are going to get into that parking lot during the construction period, because
Make it two-way.
that's a one-way. You're going to make that a two-way during construction?
Quaker
Which
Street right there is a one-way, but you can access it if you do make it a two-way off of William Street. The lower lots that are across from the yacht club, you could make that potentially a two-way.
Yeah, maybe just during the construction, we might want to think
Temporarily,
about with temporary
you know.
signs that we can take away, so people know
That
this is
happens.
temporary, don't get accustomed to it.
Yep, that happens quite often with, things like that adjacent to construction. We'll temporarily bag the one-way signs if that makes sense and kind of,
It's not a big road, but I'm just not sure how people can get access to that, because they use that, and then I don't know about the Clementine's lot, because I think that entire access is off from center.
over there, we do have, Clementine's is right here, that lot? Yeah. So we do have, there is, parking down the side here. There are two drives coming here. Again, we're gonna have to do some plywood or some sheeting across here. We are removing the really ugly old building foundations that kind of protrude out of the sidewalk like 2 feet high.
The little, you think it's a wall, it's the old building, okay, yeah.
We're gonna,
Yeah,
we're
okay.
taking those down to grade, so they'll be flush with the sidewalk. And then I think we're looking at using an ornamental fence type treatment along that edge just to kind of make it look finished.
Because there may be a way to make access off from there just during the construction, so they can park there. Then they're completely away from the road there, but I don't know. I'm just
And-
looking at all those parking spaces.
Luckily, down on this end of the job, we have water main and storm sewer. There's one little piece of sanitary that goes on a diagonal from a manhole that sits in the middle over to here. And that's all we're doing for sanitary sewer. There's no sanitary sewer running the rest of the way down the center that way.
Okay.
So limited underground utility work should kind of help.
That might help, okay.
I had one question I was curious about, and I was really appreciative to hear that you're concerned about making sure the design is consistent with Phoenix as kind of a brand image here. Where do you get your design specs for that? Who are you relying on to guide you in how we keep consistent with the nature of
The city's
downtown?
Phoenix specs. So,
The city, say again?
when the city worked on the Phoenix Street project, we took a lot of those specifications from that project and incorporated them into our project.
Thanks.
As far as Williams Street, I believe got a bike lane on it, and I don't think Phoenix has one. Is this going to include a bike lane, or?
No, like I said, the parking configuration in the lane is going to match what's
Stay the same?
basically there today.
Okay.
Yep.
This looks awesome, and hopefully when we're done with this, we revisit the trucks with the extended cab, extended beds, and the trailer hitches.
20-foot
Because they're
long.
almost on the other side of the road, and I feel bad. They're great vehicles, but man, that's just new.
I guess you better ask for rolled curbs so they can drive up on it.
A lot of them got bumps in them now, you know.
So between center, north of Phoenix and south of Phoenix, is one or the other more work than one side?
I'm going to say they're going to be close to the same, because the north half is about a third of the project length, but it's heavier involved with the utilities. The south half is longer, but there's less utility work.
Okay.
So I'm thinking they're going to be pretty close to even durations.
And then as far as any future expansions, is there any additional conduit or anything like that going in for?
Oh, for like future, like for example, Frontier or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if actually we looked at that.
We have, like, the Wi-Fi system I spoke of earlier is not fully designed. What we did is we held a placeholder allowance in there, and we're going to be working with the city's IT people and figuring out what's needed there. We do have conduit proposed right now for that element, but I don't believe we have any additional spare conduit proposed.
Not a bad idea, though.
But that may shake out of the Wi-Fi discussions when we get
Okay.
into those.
We did put some conduit in when we did the underground for the Huron Street, when we put
Yeah.
that, we put conduit in for there and then let actually Frontier and Comcast know. So in the future, because you can see, we removed all the power and there's still like two old poles just still hanging in there. And we did report those in engines, but they don't seem to, that's something else I've been trying to solve. It's been a little difficult.
Put that on your notes for when it goes in front of council.
Kate's going to note that.
I'm writing it down right
Before
now.
it gets final.
Final, and they're like, oops, because it's easier to
You
do
guys
when
are
the
the
hole's
ones-
dug.
we could spend whatever we want here, but it doesn't matter. You guys actually spend the money.
That's true.
What is the tag on this project?
We had a engineer's estimate at 3.4 million, and we had a low bid come in at 2.77, I think it was. So quite a bit under our estimate. Actually, all 6 contractors that bid were a little under our
All
estimate.
right, we can put conduit in.
Yes,
Excellent.
we can.
Got all kinds of money for conduit.
Yes, we do.
Excellent. Okay. I think we've heard
Wait a
everything.
minute, I've got a question.
Oh,
One of the retailers asked me, or a shop owner there, is because of the expense, that's the reason you're not doing the north side and then doing the south side, or vice versa? Will you finish one before you start the other, or is it just going to be the whole thing's going to be all torn up at the same time?
Yep. They're going to start at Williams because everything flows that way. That's the deep end of the sewer.
Okay?
I would imagine that they're going to take this and tackle it as a kind of a phased approach. We've kind of got things set up in our construction clause right now for that.
So there's
what
a
that would
chance
mean
that
is-
that the section of closer to Williams will be done first?
The underground work would be done first. The pavement probably would all happen similarly at the same time, because once they have that machinery mobilized, it's more efficient cost-wise
What I thought.
to do it
Okay.
all at one shot instead of having to bring it in, do this piece, take it off-site, bring it back for this piece. So I'm going to say they're going to go in there, take out road, do underground utilities, kind of get everything dressed back up, get it passable to the most, extent possible, and then jump over to the south side, do the utility work there. and then kind of come in and pave everything at one
Okay.
time.
So if we do have extra money, let's heat the road.
No.
We don't have that kind of money.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I can,
Dream.
That actually
Great,
brings up a
thank
good
you.
point. Since we are replacing sidewalks, if a property owner said they wanted to run the piping to heat the sidewalk, could they do an agreement with the city?
Yes, we can do agreements. I mean, that's a pretty simple license agreements that they could do. They could do that, or they could do electric ones, so they would have to do that right before, but yeah, it's possible. I don't see why we couldn't.
When would be the time to start planning that, or?
Tomorrow morning.
I would start planning. Yeah. I would start planning it now because the license agreement will just define the area, you know what I
Okay.
mean? So you'd have the license agreement with the exhibit saying your heating system will be within here, and the license agreement will define your responsibility if it fails, or if in the future, if we tell you, giving you notice within 90 days, you have to remove it. That's the kind of standard language that's in there. But I would
Okay.
start that now if that's something that you wanted to do.
All right.
On a side note, that particular stretch down Center Street, because of a lot of those stores not being open in the winter, those sidewalks are super dangerous. They get a serious level of ice on them compared to Phoenix Street. If you ever try to walk them, even me, I'm falling all over on them. So it wouldn't be bad to have
Bill's
heated.
crew does a pretty good job of clearing them off, I think.
Try our best.
All right, anything else? All right, so what we're looking for is a site plan approval.
Yes.
Well, no. There's one person left in the audience, everybody else was for splash pad. Would you like to comment on the, construction? Okay. Just thought I'd ask. All right, so no public comment then? Can we get a project site plan approval?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the site plan for Center Street.
A second.
Michigan and Williams.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and supported for the site plan approval for Center Street reconstruction. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
Very exciting.
marching orders, get her done.
Heated sidewalks.
All right, new business item number 9. No left turns on westbound Phoenix Street. Discussion item.
Well, this one, I'm going to turn completely over to Bill.
Okay, today's your day, Bill.
About 2 years ago, staff was tasked with trying to solve a solution in the downtown, specifically westbound on Phoenix. We would get numerous calls about having to wait through lights during certain times of the year, numerous cycles of lights. So staff sat down and we came up with some options. First option, of course, initially is you're like, well, let's hire an engineer to do a traffic study, my goodness. And we thought about that and say, well, okay, we could do that. It's going to cost us 10 to 15, so let's table that for now. What would solve it? What could solve it right away? Well, you know what? You add a dedicated left turn lane, and then, well, by goodness, we're going to have to blow up each one of those intersections that we just built. And I don't even want to tell you how much that would cost. I didn't even put pens to paper. We all just kind of kicked that one away initially, right away. So we came up with and one of the staff members just came up with, why don't we just do a temporary TCO and experiment and see what happens? So that saves us money. It only costs Bill actually writing up the TCO and putting it in, and it's, according to our ordinance, temporary TCOs are only good for 90 days unless they're passed by resolution with city council. So last 2 years, that's what I did. I did a temporary TCO, and we put up signs. You'll see actually the signs, they're just standard no left turns, but we're required actually every time a new sign comes up, we have to put, you'll see that new plate. It's got to be on there every time. So we did that, and We experienced less stacking down Phoenix. And what I'm proposing actually to the Planning Commission is or you to support a recommendation to go to City Council for a permanent TCO through resolution, which would be a June 15 to September 15. And that would only be really when the signs are out, because actually it's only enforceable to then. We've varied actually when I put the signs out. I put the signs out at the end of June. This year I actually did it July 1 or right before there. So it has varied. We would see when traffic starts stacking up, it's oh, it's time to do it. One of the things we've been looking at, and I've already put in a grant for it, I don't know if we'll actually get it, it's a CMAQ grant, where if, I was hoping maybe, there's a possibility with some funding getting taken away from the state, there might be some funding available free, not free, of course, I should rephrase that, it's never free, you're paying for it one way or shape or form, but if the money does become available, we did apply for actually some illuminated signs that we can turn on and off. But that's it right now for, is anything, could I answer any of the commissioners' questions they may have on this, or?
So you're just looking for seasonal permanent?
That's it.
Okay.
For both Center and Kalamazoo.
Correct.
I know we were in receipt of a letter from John White pointing out the obvious fact that everybody who lives east of Center knows is to take the cut through by the bakery. That has become a standard move now, because there's literally no way to get to the east side unless you do a big loop around the block. So I wonder if we need both of those, if we still need the no left turn at Kalamazoo. Center Street I get, that's packed down there. Because we're going to take that left at the bakery until you do that.
The only way to do that would actually be to take the signs out for an experiment and see what, that'd be the only way.
One of your trucks tried that, it was testing that just the other day. I followed him.
You know, I'm in the break room and I tell those guys, okay, this is the season. I do a little thing once a week, and I tell them, and some of the guys, you know, it's like when your boss talks and I picture Peanut movie when the teacher is talking. That's what I think.
I know how that happens, though. You do that most of the year, and then all of a sudden those signs are up and you don't even see them.
I saw them right away, and then the new works. I mean, if we just did it, just kept the new on there the whole time, it just, right like that, I knew right off the bat they went back up. And, you know, I heard I heard more issues last year, but then they've only been up X number of weeks, or people have figured out how to get around it and they just don't say anything. So I think for, 95% of the people, they're just going to abide by it and go. And I do see a lot of traffic going that direction. So if we've seen the benefit, that's great. I think it's a great idea, but I do feel for those that live on that side, because they have to suddenly remember where to turn left.
Well, it's not just the remembering, it is a major get around. I mean, you're going to have to turn right, come back around, back up the street, come back, just turn right. And I tell you, if you're a local, you're going to make that turn at the bakery every time.
Yep. If I could, what I just do, because I live, that away, and I just go through the intersection and make a left at, what is that, Maple or St. Joe? What is it? I go through the intersection there toward the lake.
Maple.
And then make a left.
But you're also closer to the lake.
Yeah.
So those of us that are this side of Center,
Okay.
that way.
Okay. So, yeah, you just have to, I see your point.
I think it did solve the problem. I mean, I'm glad you did what you did. Just as long as we don't tell anybody else about that cut-through.
7 people are watching, so.
I signal right and turn left, so I throw them off.
Well, if you remember some years back, that whole street was supposed to be one way to the beach.
Absolutely.
And that got a lot of people upset.
That's what
2
somebody
lanes went
suggested,
back in.
was to make it one way.
I remember when we discussed it being a pedestrian mall, too, so.
Yeah, and they were gonna roof the downtown, yeah. All right. So you have a traffic control order from June 15th to September 15th for 2 no left turns. That's what we're looking at.
Do you want a motion, or have you got our sense?
No, we have to do a motion.
Do we do a motion or a recommendation to council?
A
I
motion to
think a
recommend.
recommendation to the council, and I'll just have that in my staff report, so recommendation from council will work.
I move we recommend the
Well,
council.
hang on one
Okay.
second.
Okay.
I gotta do it, but there's nobody here to do
Right.
it. Is there anybody that'd like to come up to speak about this traffic control order?
You're the only one. Don't look
Seeing
over your
none.
shoulder.
Yeah.
But we got a splash pad. So go ahead, Larry.
I move we recommend to council that the no left turn be set up as a regular traffic control measure.
Traffic control order for June 15th through September 15th. Right?
Or whenever Bill gets around to put up the sign.
Okay. Is there support?
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next up, we have elections for chair, vice chair, and liaison to the ZBA. And this is what, we do this every year in July?
We do. Actually, your bylaws say May, but we may want to have to amend the bylaws because.
We've been busy.
Yeah, we've been busy.
We've been really
We
busy.
have been. But typically, it's right after appointments have been made. This year, the city clerk is now moving all appointments to be effective June 1 for their term. So I figured that at our next meeting, of course, our June meeting was pretty busy.
Yep.
Our next meeting being July, we would get those done. So what we're looking for is a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and then, of course, the liaison to the zoning board of appeals. Because by state law, we have to have a representative that sits on that board to bring back and bring information to.
Yeah. Okay, so currently I sit as chair, Larry, you're vice chair, and also the ZBA liaison, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, is there anybody that wants to oust Larry or myself?
No.
No?
Not on your
Okay.
life.
Well, fair, we vote however you want to do it, so, I'll keep
can I make a
being chair
motion?
unless somebody wants to do it.
Do I need to make a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion that Jim stays in chair, Larry stays in vice chair, and liaison to zoning board of appeals.
Is that good for you, Larry, or do you want to divulge yourself or divest yourself of one of the? No? Okay. So there's the motion. I'll stay as chair, Larry will be vice chair and liaison.
I'd
There's-
love to get something on record, though.
What?
I would really love to get something on record, because some of us talked about keeping our leadership where it is, and just recognizing how much we appreciate how skillfully you've handled the process. We've got a very diverse commission, which I really love, which a lot of times means some big differences of opinions. You've both been masterful in leading us to a good consensus, good compromise on some pretty contentious issues. So I think we're very, very lucky to have you, and if you're willing to serve another term, we'd love to have you both do it.
Okay.
It's a great gift to the city.
Well, thank you. Is
We
that,
we have a motion.
is that support?
Or,
Okay.
I just said it,
You had to do a preface, yeah.
get paid to speak.
Exactly, thank you. All right, it's been moved and supported to keep me as chair, Larry as vice chair and liaison. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Staff and commission comments. Now, you guys had a lot of chance, or big chance to talk tonight, but maybe you have some more, Bill, I don't know.
Nothing at this time, Chair.
Okay.
I do have a couple things. At the latest city council meeting, we were asked, the planning commission was asked to revisit the sign ordinance. We have some outdated measures in our sign ordinance. Most notably is multi-tenants are only allowed to have one sign per building. Well, now many buildings have multiple tenants and are only allowed to have one sign. That's That's not very effective. So we will be looking at that, as well as there was an update to the sign ordinance that had to make us compliant with certain new SCOTUS, or I'm sorry, Supreme Court regulations that came out in 2016. So I have asked our zoning consultants as well as their city attorney to have a look at our sign ordinance, so I'll be bringing that to you, I think, in our August meeting. Speaking of our August meeting, I will not be here. I will be taking a minor vacation of 2 days, but that happens to fall on a Thursday. So I will have Attorney Nick Curcio here to run the meeting, as well as our zoning consultants will be coming down. I've also asked our zoning consultants to undertake a technical review of our zoning ordinance. There's many parts of our zoning ordinance that are in conflict. And so I have asked them for a proposal to have a look at it, since they've been doing our reviews for most of the summer, and just kind of telling us which ways to maybe clean it up or maybe streamline it. There's many times that you can reference a section and that you didn't know way over in this section there's something that applies. So we're trying to make it more streamlined, more user-friendly. But at least this is the first step. And that's all I have, and welcome to Sam.
Okay. Mike, start with you.
Nothing more except to welcome Sam. Glad to have you. I am curious, I heard you mentioned something about Amanda,
Yes.
so you need to let us know what's going on.
So you want me to go next?
No.
You're gonna go around?
Yeah.
You gotta wait your turn.
Are you done?
I am.
Actually, I do have two things, because in talking about the splash pad, when I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine, she goes, well, how do you find out about things? You know, how could we have found out about this 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And I thought that was a really good question. And what I encouraged her to do is to sign up and get those city agendas, to get the city minutes, to sign up, on Brian's blog and read those things. I mean, I like to, but I'm a snoop. And, that's how I found out, the first time the darn golf carts were coming through, and I was there by myself saying, that's a dumb idea, but nobody listened. So, that's one way of doing it, or to watch these incredibly exciting TV shows. So, but that's about it. We've got a chat line, and there's a lot of talking, but, everybody was kind of up in arms, and it's way after the fact. And a lot of frustrated people were out there, and there's just a lot of anger and frustration. So sign up for these things, and even glance through just the agenda, and see what's on there. And if there's something that interests you, read it. Then the other thing I just I sounded really callous when I said, no bikes on the sidewalk, throw those kids on the street. I did not mean that. I know. I just wanted to make sure I do love children. And, but I do appreciate, too, when some parents, they actually walk their bikes. Or when I see the little guys, of course, I move over. I'm talking about the big kids that are racing through. So I just want to get on record on that. So thank you, and welcome, Sam. And bye, Amanda. I enjoyed working with you.
I think some of the, what you're suggesting as far as bikes, that visioning session for Monroe and along the shoreline is going to help a lot with that, because there will be bike lanes there, and there will be directional things in that regard. I really wanted to thank the families for coming out tonight. They're all gone right now, and I'm sure they're not watching at home. But I think it's wonderful when families take time to come themselves and also bring their children to see the dynamics of the city and how decisions are being made. Sam, this is great that you're going to be, I don't know Sam, but I'm really excited that you are now part of the Planning Commission, so I really want to welcome you. And thanks for taking the time to serve in this capacity. And also the Park Commission, for all those years that they put in to come up with this design, and the persistence and patience and their sensitivity to the environment when they were doing their planning. I do want to thank them for all that they do too.
Thank you all for the vote of confidence. And welcome, Sam. We didn't really give you a good introduction tonight, because this can be a lot longer and a lot tougher sometimes. Just want to encourage you a bit.
Yeah, there were over a dozen, I think, parents and kids here tonight, and it just goes a testament how the local input, and even from the kids, on top of all the work the Parks Commission has put into this, which is awesome. On top of that, all the work staff and Avonmarsh, our partner, they really put into these projects, which is awesome. Welcome, Sam, and it's good to have the diversity of what you bring to, on the retail side of it is going to be good to have, because it's very important on planning commissions to have kind of a diverse background, which saddens me to see Amanda, who will go last, because of the background and her understanding of real estate is important in the city. So that's a hat that's good to have on our planning commission. In fact, I recruited you this time. Wasn't your first time, but that's going to be awesome. And that's it. So welcome, and sad to see you go.
You're not going to shut me up that way, though. I'll be here. I'll be here. Couple things before we start in on my news. Discussing the sign, since I won't be here, I'll get a little thing in, plug in now. When you're discussing the signs, try to work into the conversation, if you don't mind, the rental signs. Okay. Because we've got long-term, we've got short-term, and it's not the same across the board as far as zoning goes. So I'd like to see that easier to understand, because it's not all being followed correctly.
Sure.
So if you're going to do signs, throw that in there. I've had, well, it started out as an experiment. I was going to try to rent out my condo for a few weeks to add to my retirement, to start looking that I could do it during retirement. Well, I can't do that because it's crazy. These folks who move out of their houses for a few weeks out of the year, it's very, very difficult. And I got someone in that wanted to rent it for a few weeks, and now she's going to stay. So it's just kind of all fell into place. And I'm about 4 miles outside of town, so I can't be with you guys anymore. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the diversity of the group. You're all extreme, and I know you're going to fit in well. You're all extremely intelligent and very heartfelt. And that's a combination you rarely get on a commission. And I've appreciated those qualities in this group. So you won't shut me up. I'll be around. I just won't be up here. I'll be down there. So thank you.
You've done that twice now.
Do I?
One more strike and you're really out.
Yeah, I know. And welcome, Sam. She's going to be a great, great addition.
I'd like to thank you all for welcoming me. I'm excited to further South Haven, work with all of you guys on all the issues that are going to arise over time. I live right down here in the business district, so you'll probably all see me on the street walking my dog at least twice a day. So I see a lot of stuff on ground level every day because I'm literally out there on the street every day. So I'm very excited. Thanks for having me.
I guess I'll close with this. I have a tendency to read a lot of the old local newspapers, and I read one the other day, actually it was about 2 weeks worth, where we had dirt roads, and they were talking about building sidewalks, and these were elevated sidewalks, and all the business owners turned out, and they were very upset, because the ladies in their heels would catch in the boards and break, and they'd fall 3 or 4 feet down to the dirt road, and we don't need sidewalks. And so I have to bring one of those in so you can read it for yourself, because what I was reading there and what happened tonight are night and day. This was easy for a sidewalk road approval. All right, so we're done with tonight's meeting. We'll have, like Kate said, another one next month and see something exciting. And then I've also heard, maybe you can confirm, Clark, are we going to do a joint session with City council.
Marijuana.
Yeah, at some point, I'm not sure, in the later months,
Okay.
there may be a joint meeting between the planning commission and the city council to go over the recommendations for the marijuana zoning ordinances.
And that's a meeting where we meet together, that's not a pun.
Yeah, it would be, I'm sorry, what? No, it would
That's not
just
a
be
pun.
it's just a joint meeting. Yeah, not a pun.
Now, and the reason I bring that up is because you're new, but we haven't put that issue completely to rest, so you might want to go back and look at some of the previous minutes and just be caught up if you haven't been watching it the last couple months.
Okay, I did read through what was there, but I will definitely look further
Okay.
into it before that meeting.
I think that's the only thing that's still kind of outstanding that we haven't finished. All right, very good. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and supported to adjourn tonight's meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries at 1 hour and 42 minutes.